Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of creative play to create some 3D embellishments using this beach ball layering stencil from Hero Arts as well as these lacquer pens. I don't end up using all of them, just the pink and the yellow lacquer pens. I also had some pearls there, and I'm going to use some white hero paste. So this beach ball stencil is a 3-piece stencil set from the July release. It is an extraordinary extra. You can grab this as well as other items from the Hero Arts Hero Studio while supplies last. So first I'm going to adhere my stencil using some tape to a silicone mat. A silicone mat is key for this process because it allows you to remove the stenciled beach balls once you are complete. So I'm just adding on my pink lacquer pen and scraping across the stencil, going back in with more product as needed. Once I am happy with how things are looking, I do go ahead and lift that stencil and then hit it with my heat gun. I will go ahead and say that I recommend that you tape down your stencils when doing this just because the medium is thick and can smear and you want to have as crisp of lines as possible. So it is a good idea to tape down your stencils as well as clean them as soon as you finish so the lacquer pen doesn't stain and stay on your stencils. I keep a bowl of soapy water next to my desk so I can drop the stencil in, and then once have a break, I go and I scrub everything. So I am heat setting this layer, the pink layer, because I want everything to be completely dry. So when I place the second stencil, there's no smearing, there's no smudging. So yeah, be sure that you completely dry each layer as you go. Here I am following my same process using my yellow lacquer pen. I think it takes a little bit more yellow than it did pink for this second stencil. So I am just trying to take my time and make sure that I get a thick coating in all of the openings. So again, just following the same steps of coating my stencil, going back in with extra products, removing the stencil, and then heat setting it. Once that's completely dry, I now move on to my last stencil using the white hero paste. Again, following those same steps, this is what I am left with. And when everything is completely dry, you are able to just peel these off your mat. For the sake of conserving those little white splashes of water that you stenciled, I am going to grab some press and seal and put that down and lift all of these pieces up off of my mat at once or as best as possible. I do go in with the brayer and add more pressure to keep everything together. This is why I say it is so important to make sure that you are doing this process on a silicone mat if you would like to lift the embellishments and be able to use them and place them wherever you desire versus just having to stencil and leave them in place as they dry. Once I have peeled them all away from the press and seal, I do go in with my scissors and just clean up around the edges, any of the smeared thin bits that adhered or dried along the edges of these beach balls. Some of them are not as circular as they once were, but that is perfectly fine. I just go in with my scissors and make them more circular. With this process, please remember that because we are using the paste and the lacquer pen, you will not have the smoothest surface just because we are trying to add that dimension as well as we're layering stencils on top of those mediums as we go. So there may be some palette knife marks in them. There may be some bleeding of the colors onto one another. So these will not be perfect. At least mine weren't. And this was my first go at it as well. So, I mean, you can slow down your process and just take more time to make them perfect if that's what you desire. But I always think some mess ups just bring character to whatever you are using. And I will show you how you can kind of hide those as we layer these beach balls onto one another for the project. I have grabbed some of the Hero Studio card kit elements that I'd already die cut and kind of inked up previously for my release day card. You can go see that on my blog that features the sandcastle and these buckets and seashells. So I am just grabbing those out of my stash and I am planning to add these onto my card because they are in the peony cardstock, which is a cute pink color that will coordinate with this. So I'm going to be layering up these beach balls and playing with placement with that sandcastle and those buckets. Once I was somewhat satisfied with the layering, I decided that I wanted to add the water and sky stamps from the card kit. I stamped the water using Arctic ink, and then I went in with some passion flower and a little cornflower for the sky. I ended up not liking the sky, so I decided to just cut away the top portion of the sandcastle and I added some sand around the water using caramel ink, and I'm going to preserve all that I do like from this panel and add on more of the beach balls in the background and restamp the sky. I just inked around the top portion of the new background of this panel and cornflower, and then I stamped the sky in cornflower as well. But here you'll just see me adding in more beach balls, and I will adhere everything using my precision glue. I am being strategic with the placement of the beach balls and making sure that I'm hiding the portions of them that I may not like or that may be a little thinner than in some other areas. I also go in with more of the buckets and seashells and add those into place. I
Popping them
will
up with
pop
foam
up
as
this panel
needed.
onto an A2 size card, and these panels are not white, although they look white. I actually use antique ivory cardstock for these. So I am just popping it up and making sure that everything is adhered in place, going in and securing what needs to be secured. And then I just take one of the leftover beach balls and I am tucking that in and gluing it onto the back A2 size panel just to fill in more space and make it look more complete. But I love the look of all of these beach balls and how it just looks like the beach is invaded by the beach balls. I have the sentiment of sending you waves of happiness, which also comes from the card kit, and I just pop that up. It is stamped on white, some Dove white cardstock with the pitch black ink. And now I am going back in and adding even more of the seashells where I deem them necessary. My finishing touch to the card is to go in with my white gel pen and add a bit of highlighting just to break up some of the colors. And here is how my card looks. I love all of the texture created, not only from the stamps, but from creating these 3D embellishments using that layering stencil. And I did decide, since I only had 2 beach balls left, to just create a very clean and simple card using them. Although it does not look like this card took a lot of time, given the amount of time it takes to actually create those beach balls, it did take a good bit of time. So I am just stamping a sentiment from the card kit. It says thinking of you. I popped up those beach balls using some foam squares, and then I matted that all on some ultra pink Hero Arts cardstock. And finishing touches for this card included adding a couple of the clear enamel dots to the tops of those beach balls, but here is what my completed card looked like. So is this a technique that you may consider using with your layering stencils? It gives you a completely different option of how you can use those stencils and the embellishments that you create. If you are interested in grabbing this beach ball stencil, head on over to Hero Arts. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.